The room was full of light, music, and laughter. Rich men in sharp suits and women in shiny dresses moved around with glasses of champagne in their hands. It was the annual party of Gentek, one of the top tech companies in Lagos. Then the music stopped. Everyone turned as the doors opened. A man in a dark, simple suit walked in. He looked calm, confident. No one knew who he was at first. Some people whispered, others stared. But the older executives froze. They knew that face. It was Daniel. Years ago, he had stood outside these same gates with a wooden tray full of mangoes, wearing old slippers and a torn shirt. He had begged them to buy. They had laughed. A female executive, Anita, had once told him, "This is not a fruit market, little boy. Go home." Now Daniel walked through the same doors. No tray, no fruit, just quiet power. He walked up to the podium. Everyone watched, confused. He picked up the microphone. "My name is Daniel Okoro," he said, voice steady. "Some of you may remember me. A few years ago, I stood outside your gate selling mangoes. I was laughed at, pushed away. The room went quiet. Well," he continued, "today, I am here to tell you that I've bought Gentek. This company now belongs to me." A glass slipped from someone's hand. The sound of shattering glass filled the silence. Daniel looked around the room, slowly. "This is now mine," he said again. Then he stepped down from the stage. People stared. Some were ashamed. Some were shocked. Some just didn't know what to say. Anita stood frozen, mouth slightly open. Daniel didn't look at her. He walked past with calm steps. In his mind, he saw his younger self again, barefoot, sweating, holding mangoes, begging for a chance. Now, he didn't need to beg. He had taken back his power. Daniel grew up in Ajegunle, a crowded and poor part of Lagos. His father had died when he was just 6 years old. His mother, Mama Esther, worked as a cleaner in a small clinic. She did everything she could to keep them alive. But life was hard. Every morning before school, Daniel would carry a wooden tray of mangoes. He would walk far, past busy roads, rich estates, and tall buildings, until he reached the gates of Gentek. That company was big and beautiful, with guards, clean glass, and important people going in and out. He stood by the gate, calling, "Sweet mangoes! Fresh mangoes!" Some people ignored him. Some laughed. Some insulted him. But he needed the money to buy books, food, and sometimes to pay school fees. His mother often told him, "Use your head, not just your hands. You're smart, Daniel. You were born to do more." Daniel believed her. At night, he would read old textbooks he found in the dustbin. He didn't have a laptop or internet at home, so he would walk to a small library that allowed students to use their computers for 1 hour. There, he discovered coding. At first, it was just lines of letters and numbers, but slowly, it started making sense. He found old tutorials online. He would write code in his notebook and test it later when he found time at the library. One day, while selling mangoes near Gentek, he saw a group of young people going into the building. They were dressed well, holding laptops. He asked a security guard, "Who are they?" "They're interns," the man replied. Daniel's heart beat fast. He knew he could do what they were doing, maybe better. He went home and told his mother. She smiled and said, "Then apply. Don't be afraid." He found a way to apply online. He wrote the best application he could. He told them about his passion, his learning, and his dream to work in tech. He waited. After some weeks, he got an email. It said he could come in for a short meeting. He was so happy. He wore his cleanest shirt and walked all the way to Gentek. When he reached the front desk, the lady looked at him from head to toe. "You're here for internship?" she asked, laughing. Another staff member nearby whispered, "Is he here to beg?" Daniel felt small. He was sent to a small office. A young man came in, looked at his papers, then said, "No degree, no real training. Sorry, we only take serious people." Daniel stood up quietly and left. On his way out, he saw the interns again. They laughed and chatted, full of hope. He felt like a shadow. That night he cried, but something changed in him. He looked in the mirror and said to himself, "They will never laugh at me again." A week later, something surprising happened. He was sitting outside the library, looking sad. A janitor from Gentek passed by and stopped. "You're that mango boy, right?" the man asked. Daniel nodded. The janitor looked around, then pulled a small bag from his cart. Inside was an old, dusty laptop. "I found this in the trash. It's slow, but it still works. Take it. Maybe it will help you." Daniel couldn't speak. He held the laptop like gold. That night, he didn't sleep. He spent hours trying to fix it, charge it, and start it. And when it finally turned on, he smiled for the first time in days. From that moment, Daniel worked harder than ever. He coded every day, even when there was no power. He would walk long distances to find charging spots. He built small apps. He joined free online forums. He never stopped learning. He didn't tell anyone about his dream, but deep inside, he had made a promise. One day, he would enter Gentech again, but not as a boy with mangoes. He would return as something greater. Daniel got a full scholarship to study computer science at a university in Lagos. He worked hard every day and never forgot his dream. By his second year, he built a simple app that helped small traders keep track of their sales. It was not fancy, but it worked well. One of his lecturers told him, "This idea can help a lot of people. You should show it to a real company." Daniel thought about Gentech. The memory of the past still hurt, but he believed things could be different now. Maybe they would listen this time. Maybe they would see his value. He found an email for one of the junior executives there, a man named Mr. Ao. Daniel sent him a short message and a demo of the app. To his surprise, Mr. Ao replied, "Let's meet," he said. "I like what I see." Daniel was excited. He wore his best shirt and arrived at the office early. When Mr. Ao came into the meeting room, he smiled and shook Daniel's hand. "This is good work," he said. "Very smart idea." Daniel smiled back. He explained everything, the app's design, how it could help market women and street vendors, and how he planned to improve it. Mr. Ao nodded the whole time. He said, "Let me talk to some people here. We might support you, maybe even partner with your idea." Daniel left the office full of hope. Days passed. He waited. No calls came. He sent emails. No reply. He tried calling Mr. Ao, but his number was off. Daniel felt confused. Maybe they were busy. Maybe it would still happen. Then, 2 weeks later, he saw something that broke him. He was scrolling through his phone when he saw a press release on Gentech's website. They were launching a new app. The name was different. The colors were different, but the idea was the same, almost exactly like his. They even showed how it would help small traders, just like he had said. His hands started shaking. He looked again. There was no mention of him, no credit, nothing. It was as if he never existed. He closed his laptop and sat in silence. His heart felt heavy. He couldn't speak for hours. Later that night, he walked to a quiet spot near his hostel. He sat on the ground, staring into the dark. He remembered the mangoes, the laughter, the rejection. But this was worse. They didn't just laugh. They stole. They took something he had built with his mind, his time, his heart. The next day, Daniel didn't go to class. He didn't open his laptop. He didn't eat. He thought of quitting. "What's the point?" he said to himself. "They will always win." A few days later, his close friend, Solar, came to check on him. "Guy, what happened?" Solar asked. Daniel showed him the app and the press release. Solar read everything, then looked at Daniel. "Bro, they cheated you. That's wicked." Daniel nodded. He felt numb. Solar sat down beside him. "But listen," he said, "you still have the real idea, the first version. You know how it works better than them." Daniel didn't answer. Solar continued. "Build your own, Daniel. Don't let them kill your dream. Don't let this be the end." Those words stayed in Daniel's heart. He didn't feel strong yet, but deep inside, a small light started to grow again. Daniel stopped going to class. He told the school he needed time off. They gave him a break for 1 semester. But it wasn't just school he left. He left everything. He stayed inside his small room in the hostel, curtains closed, lights off, his phone on silent. Sometimes, he would go to a nearby cyber cafe late at night when no one else was there. He would sit quietly in front of the old computer and type in Gentech app. The page would load slowly, and every time he would see it again. His stolen idea, now trending. People online were praising the company. "What a great invention. This will change street business." Daniel stared at the screen until his eyes hurt. He didn't cry. He just sat there, feeling empty. One day, he went home to visit his mother. She was happy to see him, but quickly noticed something was wrong. "You're too quiet," she said. "You're not eating. What's the matter?" He shook his head. "I'm fine." But she didn't believe him. Later that evening, she pushed again. "Tell me, Daniel, what's going on?" He tried to explain. "They took my idea, Mama. The company, the application. They acted like I didn't exist." She looked confused. "You mean the idea you showed them?" "Yes," he said. "They stole it, and now the whole world thinks it's theirs." His mother sat back in silence. "Maybe you shared too much," she said gently. "Next time, be more careful." Daniel stared at her. You don't understand. I do, she said. But crying over it won't help. Move on. That hurt. He stood up, walked into the small bedroom, and shut the door. She meant well, but her words felt like another cut. For days, he stopped answering messages from friends. Sola called many times, but Daniel didn't pick up. He turned off his social media and deleted all his posts. He felt ashamed, even though he had done nothing wrong. Everywhere he looked, he saw people moving forward, smiling, achieving, but he felt stuck, broken, and invisible. He opened his drawer one night and pulled out a bunch of papers, job application forms, competition flyers, tech program invites. Some had been filled out, others still blank. A few had rejection letters stapled to them. He picked one up, read it again. Thank you for applying. Unfortunately, we are unable to move forward with your request. He crumpled it in his hand. He picked another one. Same thing. He dropped the papers on the floor and sat on the edge of his bed. Maybe I'm just the mango boy, he whispered. He closed his eyes and lay down. Outside, life went on, but inside him, everything was quiet, too quiet. One night, while lying in bed, Daniel stared at the ceiling for hours. He hadn't coded in weeks. His laptop sat in a corner, covered in dust, but something in him whispered, try again. He got up. He cleaned the laptop and turned it on. The screen flickered, but it worked. He opened his old codes and started reading through them, line by line. Slowly, something inside him started to wake up again. That night, there was no electricity, so he used a small, rechargeable lamp. His fingers moved fast on the keyboard. It felt like breathing again. Days turned into nights. He went back to school quietly. No one knew he had returned. He didn't talk much. He just worked. He took small jobs, cleaning in the hostel, designing flyers, fixing phones, to survive. But every free moment, he coded. One day, he uploaded a simple tool he created on an open-source website. He didn't expect much. He just wanted to share it. A week later, he got an email. Hi, I'm Joel from Canada. I saw your project. Can we talk? Daniel almost deleted the email. He thought it was fake, but he replied. The next day, they had a video call. Joel was a software engineer who helped young developers around the world. He said, your work is clean, sharp. You have something special. Daniel couldn't believe it. No one had said that to him before. They kept talking every week. Joel began to guide him, how to improve his work, how to write better code, how to build real software products. Then, one day, Daniel completed a small freelance job online, just a simple app design. That evening, he got a PayPal notification. $200. He stared at the screen. It felt like gold. It was the first time he was paid for his own skills. He didn't sleep that night. He just kept working. He was tired, but the fire was back. Joel called again that week. You know, Daniel, he said, your story is your weapon. You're not just building apps. You're building from pain. That's power. Daniel smiled for the first time in a long time. He began rebuilding the app Gentek had stolen. But this time, he made it better, smarter, stronger. He added features they didn't think of. He made it easier for real traders to use. He even started testing it with women in the local market. He watched them use it. He listened to their feedback. He fixed the bugs. He no longer cared about fame or showing off. Now, he wanted to solve a real problem and prove, mostly to himself, that he could build something on his own. Every time there was a power cut, he would light his lamp, take a deep breath, and continue. He wasn't the mango boy anymore. He was a builder. Daniel launched his new app quietly. He didn't make noise, no big event, just a simple message online. For the market women who sell in the sun, for the boys who dream, this is for you. The app was clean, easy to use, and free to start. It worked offline. It used local languages. People loved it. Within weeks, traders began switching. Street vendors, small shops, even schools started using Daniel's app. Then, tech blogs picked it up. New app outshines Gentek's product, one headline said. Built by a student, beating the giants, another wrote. At Gentek, the panic started. In their boardroom, the mood changed. Investors called in daily. Partners were asking questions. Some were pulling out. This app is too smooth, too fast. We're losing ground, one manager said. Who built it? Someone else asked. No one had the answer. Daniel kept working. He used every dollar he earned to grow. He hired 2 friends from school. He got support from his mentor, Joel. They registered the company as Street Mind Tech. Then, Daniel made his next move. He didn't go after Gentek directly. He started talking to their small partners, the people Gentek used to ignore. He offered better deals, better software, and treated them with respect. One by one, they joined him. Soon, Gentech was shrinking. Daniel still said nothing. He didn't do interviews. He didn't post pictures of his past. He just let the work speak. Then one day, his lawyer sent a letter to Gentech. It was a formal offer to buy them out. At first, they laughed. Then they checked the numbers. Daniel's company had the users. He had the growth. He had the money. They had no choice. The board held an emergency meeting. The CEO, Mr. Lawal, was an older man. He had never paid attention to Daniel. He didn't even remember him from the mango days. Now he sat in a meeting room, watching a young man walk in, calm and confident. Daniel wore a plain shirt, no gold watch, no loud talk. He placed the papers on the table. "I'm offering a fair price," he said. "No games, no revenge, just business." Mr. Lawal looked at him for a long time. "You built this on your own?" Daniel nodded. Mr. Lawal shook his head. "We didn't see you coming." Daniel smiled softly. "You didn't look. The papers were signed. It was done." Daniel walked out of the room, not with pride, but with peace. He had won, but more than that, he had healed. He didn't need to shout. His success was loud enough. The final shareholder meeting was full. Cameras were set up. Journalists were outside. Everyone wanted to see the young man who had just bought the company that once ignored him. Daniel sat at the head of the table, calm, quiet. The executives sat across from him, tense and uncomfortable. Some still didn't understand how it had come to this. A familiar face entered the room. It was the female executive who had once mocked him outside the gate, laughing at his mango tray. She didn't say a word. She walked to him and gently placed a cup of coffee on the table. Then she stepped back and sat down. Daniel didn't look at her. He just whispered, "Thank you." When the meeting began, Daniel stood up. "I won't take much of your time," he said. He clicked his laptop and the projector lit up. An old pitch deck appeared on the screen. Slide 1, Daniel's name. Slide 2, the original app idea, dated and time-stamped. Slide 3, emails sent to the junior executive who had promised to mentor him. Slide 4, proof that the stolen app was based on his design. The room went quiet. No one spoke. One man at the end of the table, Mr. Scholler, the same junior executive, lowered his head into his hands. He looked up with tears in his eyes. "I was wrong," he said. "I stole from you. I'm sorry." Daniel nodded slowly. "I know." Everyone waited. Was Daniel going to press charges? Demand revenge? He didn't. He closed the laptop. "I'm not here for revenge," he said. "I'm here to lead. You taught me something. You showed me how not to treat people, how not to lead." Silence again. Daniel looked around the room. He saw fear, shame, regret, but he didn't feel anger anymore, only peace. As the meeting ended, people stood and began to leave. One young intern, quiet and shy, walked up to Daniel. He wore old shoes and carried a small notebook. "Sir," he said, I also came from the streets. Thank you for making space for people like me." Daniel smiled. He placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. "Keep building," he said. Outside, reporters waited, hoping for a statement. Daniel walked past them without speaking. No celebration, no shouting. He had said all he needed to say, and now he was ready to lead, with humility. The sun was hot in Ajegunle. The streets were the same, busy, loud, full of life. Daniel walked slowly, his hands in his pockets. He passed the old shop on the corner, the one that used to sell phone cards. He passed the barber who once let him charge his phone for free. People looked at him. Some recognized him, some didn't. Then he saw it. The same spot he used to stand years ago, barefoot, with a tray of mangoes. And there was a boy there now, thin, dusty, maybe 10 years old. He held a plastic bowl of mangoes and called out, "Buy sweet mango, just 50 naira." Daniel stopped. The boy looked up, unsure. "You want, sir?" Daniel smiled. "How much for everything?" The boy's eyes widened. "Everything." Daniel nodded. The boy counted quickly. 2,000 naira. Daniel brought out a few notes and handed them over. "Keep the change." He took one mango from the bowl and handed the rest back. "Go home early," Daniel said. The boy stared, confused but happy. "Thank you, sir." Daniel brought out a small card from his wallet. He placed it in the boy's hand. "Read that when you get older." The boy looked at it. It said, "Daniel Okonkwo, founder, Street Mind Tech." The boy blinked, then looked up again, surprised. You own that big company?" Daniel just smiled. He turned and kept walking. He reached the house where he grew up. It was painted now. The roof had been fixed. There were flower pots in front. His mother stood by the door, wearing her wrapper and smiling. She hugged him. "You're home." Inside, he sat on the front step. She brought out a plate with cold water and peeled mango slices. He picked one and took a bite. It was sweet. He chewed slowly, watching the street. Children played with old tires. A man pushed a wheelbarrow past. Music played softly from a neighbor's shop. Daniel closed his eyes and breathed in the air. For the first time in years, he felt no weight on his shoulders. He had nothing left to prove. He had become the man he once dreamed of becoming. He opened his eyes, looked at the last piece of mango, and smiled. And softly to himself, he said, "Let them mock, just keep building."